I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving
podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by our friends at Happy State Bank, Clint, Gus, and Kyler. We're going up to 6 o'clock today here on Double T 97.3. Let's go back to the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Bobby Hot Dog said Clint bakes special brownies. George Strait once played in Muleshoe, Texas, as did the Dixie Chicks, minus Natalie.
Pre-Natalie. That makes sense.
To really sound out that sentence because of my own dumb brain.
That's all right.
I got there. Old Razzle Dazzle said Hurricane Puddin' is a good'un. My last 3 girlfriends all had the same names as hurricanes in recent history. In hindsight, should have been giant red flags.
Fitting.
We're alike. I dated a Karen, and her name was literally Karen, so that should have been my red flag.
Hey, Karen, if you're listening, then give us a call.
Ask for the manager all the time.
Yeah.
Use phrases like, do you know who I am?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And her grandma was also Karen. So they were both Karens.
So
that was an interesting relationship.
A Karen mantle just passed down from generation to generation.
Yep, handing off the torch.
One day you're going to have to complain at this store, okay? So just focus and learn. You know what's funny? Speaking of Mullinville, there was a lady in Mullinville whose name was Karen, and she was like the nicest lady of all time and would never do like that, what that's turned into, which is really funny. And I just think of her, just like, I hope I highly doubt she was on like social media or things like to know memes or things like that. So hopefully it's never come across her. Just, what do you mean? I'm Karen. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. How was Miami ranked 14th but showed to play Tech in round 1? So this is
projection.
Yes, but this is confusing even on the projection.
Okay. Because
they're not even in line right now to make the ACC championship game. And they were saying, well, that's going to be the 4th highest conference champ, right? That's Miami. So that would put them in at that spot where it lines up 6, and they would fall, even though they're 14th, they would fall to 11 because the group of 5 champion would fall to 12.
Got it.
And so it still was confusing because I was like, well, wouldn't that be like Georgia Tech right now? Because there's 4 schools. By the way, there's a real world possibility that the Duke Blue Devils get into the college football playoff. Going back to like the simulator and stuff. Yeah.
Send them here. That'd be good.
I'm just saying that because like the ACC has 4 or 5 one-loss conference teams. Pitt, I was looking at them because they're one of those one-loss teams. They have an absolute gauntlet to end the season, including Miami. And I do think Miami is a top 3 ACC teams, and they just lost a couple of games that they had meltdowns and should not have, but that's how the sport works, right? So that's why Miami would be projected in there with you right now if the playoffs
games
started
with,
today.
NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pittsburgh. And, Pitt's been intriguing, and they're the game day site this weekend
with
for
Notre
the Notre
Dame
Dame game. And,
go Pitt.
Yeah, and if Pitt knocks Notre Dame off, Notre Dame that'll free up a spot. There'll be a bunch of people if you're just losing sleep over getting a second Big 12 team in, then put on your Pittsburgh uniform, get out your old Tony Dorsett jersey, Dan Marino, make it happen.
Yeah, the ACC standings right now: Georgia Tech 5-1, Virginia 5-1, Pittsburgh 5-1, SMU 5-1, and Duke 4-1. And then you get to, it's funny because I think talent-wise, I think the 3 best teams are Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Miami. But Louisville, also one of those, well, shouldn't have dropped these games then. They're at 20. They're 4-2, and then Miami 3-2 in conference play. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Okay, you're going to have to help me with this pronunciation, by the way. Our fancy aspics, is that how you say that? The Jell-O there? It's on there twice. It's still a thing in Kansas. It's this Jell-O with like eggs or gelatin with like eggs and tomatoes and weird 40s, 50s things. Did I get that right? Aspics, perhaps?
I don't know. Let me see.
No, that's not a thing. Disgusting. Like when they would do like hot dogs and stuff in gelatin. Like, oh, look at this delightful casserole for dinner.
Huh? Man, I don't know.
I'm glad you worked hard all
Shelly.
day. Here you go.
No way.
Disgusting. So you said this going into the break, and it got me.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's so gross. I don't think I could get through a single bite of that. The textures alone. You said something going into the break that just made a question pop in my head, and you said, and I don't disagree, that if you were looking at talking to the roster over there, who would they like to see again to get another shot at? I do think Arizona State would be on that list, but I think it would also be more than just, not that they're like trying to find, this is just me talking, they're not trying to find like the coward's way out or whatever, but as much as I would like you in just about any matchup with the Big 12 team in Arlington, if you fed them Jeff Sims, absolutely one-dimensional, probably heavy chance Jordan Tyson-less as well, Arizona State, if you had that kind of miracle situation for them to get there, Gus, I do think that they would be in revenge mode and would hammer them.
I do too. I just think that would be as focused an effort as you could possibly get, because for the most part, whoever we play in Arlington's going to have something ginned up for us in terms of hate. Now, I say that could be Cincinnati, but and then they'd be digging into, we went to Lubbock last year and got beat, some of that kind of stuff. But the BYU Utah would be, we got beat by them. We didn't play our best game. We wouldn't love another crack, blah, blah, blah. The ASU situation would be our side going. Both barrels, fellas.
But I just
think I think our guys would be like edgy.
Yeah. Maybe
edgy chance to hammer those dudes.
And I do want, and this is where I would like to have a truth serum, because if you asked any of them, they would be like, "We don't care. We just want to get there," and that's the correct answer.
You really, as a competitor, I don't know that I ever benefited just as a competitor from sitting around and doing this kind of math, because you might get what you asked for. You might go, hey, man, we want to play Podunk State. And then Podunk State plays you and whips your butt because you thought, well, since we got Podunk State and that's who we're asking for, it might be a little bit easier. Than man.
But I wonder in the truth serum situation, Gus, if any of them would go, well, Utah was awfully talkative. And again, this is just the fan side.
True.
But they were awfully, awfully talkative after they lost to both you and to BYU, of being obnoxious. And anytime I saw they're like, oh, well, Devin Dampier, obviously he wasn't healthy, that's why we lost him. Well, okay, even if that was true, you were playing with your second string quarterback, still beat you by a bunch. I wonder if there would be any of that in the equation.
Yep. Could be some of that.
Let us know what you think on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We will go back in time when we come back. It's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, it's Tech Talk on Double T 97.3, hour number 2.
It's a banger.
Thank you. It's been a little bit since we played it.
Absolute banger.
That is great.
It is, man. AI voice guy is pretty good. Had a little gravel to his voice.
We should hire him for the Christmas party this year.
You gonna finish that job, Clint?
Surely.
You gonna finish your job?
What do you mean?
You were gonna clean up the hair band one. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Be
Yeah, it's on the list of things. It is hour number 2 of Tech Talk. You got us on Double T 97.3, DoubleTSportsNetwork.com, the Double T 97.3 mobile app, brought to you by Happy State Bank. Thank you for joining us. Happy Wednesday to you. Clint, Gus, and Kyler. Tonight, it is Cowboys Crosstalk at 7 o'clock, or over on 100.7 The Score at 6. It is the High School Fan Zone, tonight's edition, featuring coaches from Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Would you guys know if we can get championship game tickets through Texas Tech, or how does it work? I know you can get it through, because like Sneed was already talking about tickets that he got for Arlington, but you should have an allotment for both teams that make it there. You can go to
Big12sports.com. And there's a banner ad running across the top. Click on that, and that sends you to the third. What do we call it? Third party, whatever. Yeah. You know, a lot of the resale stuff. Now those prices are getting high in there. There's not one ticket in the upper deck on that site, which tells me they're holding some back until the teams get decided. And we know. And then there's also if you're like a Texas Tech, probably TexasTech.com, like season ticket holder, you can go log in there, click on applications on the tickets thing, applications, and you can apply for tickets there. Now that's waiting list, and that one's going to be priority based on your, what your points are and all that kind of stuff, donor stuff, and how long you've been a season ticket holder, blah, blah, blah. But there's 2 or 3 ways to go about it right now. My only hesitation right now is I'm thinking, man, I wish I knew where I'm going to sit in the middle of the infidels section over there, in there with some Cincinnati thing or some mess, and so I'm. Well,
if it's BYU, I think that fan base is notoriously nice, so you'll be good there. I couldn't tell you anything about Cincinnati's fan base. I would hate or love to be sitting in the middle of a Utah fan base.
I know,
especially if things were going well for you. I don't think Cincinnati is hostile, but who knows?
I mean, they'd probably do okay. But that might be the least full of the options.
Yeah, that would be my guess. But
what do you think an ASU fan base would look like? I mean, everybody has a big alumni thing in DFW, so I'm not suggesting they'd have 100 people there. But what would that look like?
I think their fan base showed out last year,
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think that
I think they would.
With 3 losses, would they travel well? 2 losses,
think so.
Would they travel well? With the no starting quarterback, would they travel well? Or would there be some folks going, I don't know, man.
I mean, they're still in the game, so I bet they would do pretty good. Yeah, I think they would have a good showing.
Too.
I guess I don't know that for sure, but because I see where you're coming from. But
you just see like, man, that was magical last year, and I don't know. Who knows? Yeah.
This on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Have 2 friends who can vouch for me. Right before Sims threw that interception to Ryan, we were standing in my buddy's parents' living room, and I said, Ryan Aycock, interception right here, game over. And then boom, we all paused, and everyone looked at me. Then we went wild. I was in 7th grade.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. I've watched that. I went back and watched it when I was pulling that clip, and I still don't know exactly what that was because nobody's there. It looks like a vastly underthrown ball, almost like it looked like that was supposed to be a stick your foot in the ground crosser type route, and the receiver ran more of a post or something, kind of a skinny post, and like he way underthrew it. I mean, because he wasn't really rushed or anything, and he had been really good that day. And those teams were trading scores, and we went down and scored, and they had the ball down 4 because you hear the clip. He's going, hey, you don't need to score with too much time left on the clock or throw a pick.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aycock, I mean, that's one of the plays that, he was a good player around here. He and Kevin Curtis, 2 on the same Coronado team and all that, but he, and both of them now in Texas Tech Athletic Hall of Fame. But yeah, that was not the defining play, but it was probably a defining play of his career.
You know what's funny about that memory? It's like that's one of those things that I think most sport fans do like a lot. Like I seriously have done that between college basketball, college football, NFL, baseball, pick the sport hundreds of times of like, all right, just like, Jacob Rodriguez interception right here and we're good. And it never works except for one, 2 times, and the 1 or 2 times it's like, yeah, see, I told you.
Well, a lot of times
it's the guy that throws sport opinions against the wall until he finally conference realignment, when it's like, yeah, see, I told you USC was going to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well,
over the course of the 3 months prior, I had laid out every scenario, and so we can run it back. And
you also said Miami's coming to the Big 12 for 10 years, so I mean,
sure. That's exactly right. You also said Texas Tech was going to end up in the same conference as UTEP and New Mexico. So,
but it is very satisfying when you get one, though.
I know. Most of the time, if I'm doing that, I'm sitting up there going, "Man, we need a turnover right here." Yeah. I'm not necessarily calling an old number 28 needs to get it, But this year it feels safe. You know what we need? We need Rodriguez to punch out a fumble right here.
Yeah.
Or an 05. We need Dwayne Slay to.
My favorite. Because this is the one probably my dad and I both have done the most, and now I can do it with this defense. Like, it feels like a pretty good time for a David Bailey sack, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Look at me.
See, I told you, I'm the smartest guy in the room.
That's right. I told him not to run more cover 3.
Siri, I'm not talking to you. Go away. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Play the day when we come back.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Kyler is going to, we talked about some Guinness World Records. Kyler's going to break the Guinness Book of World Records for playing Crank That Crabtree on a sports radio show, which is a good thing.
It's goated.
I've enjoyed it. I think we're up to 4 or 5 now. Keep doing it. Yeah. We'll send it in to Guinness and see if they give you an award. What do you get? Like, do you get like a little plaque? Do you get like a little ribbon? Gus, you have many records. We discussed this yesterday.
Sure.
What do you get?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's a plaque.
Some sort of cash prize? That would be the best one. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Clint, Gus, and Kyler. It is time for his Crank Dat play of the day.
They'll split 2 receivers right, 1 left. That's Phillips to the left side against Polak. And to hand off to Rex, trying to get the outside, and Rodriguez cleans him up before he can turn the corner. Forget it. Bachmeier back to throw. Pressure, dumps it off to his tight end. And great tackle, Roberts. Roberts held on to him and pulled him backwards when he got a little help from his friends. And he did not get the first down. Bachmeier back, pressure, and he's going to get. Oh, he tried to throw it as he was getting sacked. That is a backwards pass, and the Red Raiders are on it. Inside the 20. 4th down and 5. Bachmeier rolling to his left. Got to keep rolling because they're getting chased. Going to throw it on the run and incomplete. Turnover on downs.
With ESPN College Game Day in the house, this Red Raider defense absolutely showed out. I don't know about y'all, but when I'm sitting there watching this game, watching BYU absolutely struggle to get past the 50-yard line and struggle especially to get into the red zone, shed a little bit of a tear of joy. It's a beautiful sight to see when your defense is just locked down. Our offense, I'm not taking anything away from them. They had a great game. In the red zone, there was some struggles, though. I believe 5 field goals. You can do that. It could be okay. You don't have to go for every single 4th down when you have a defense that you can just trust to stop them, get the stop, and get the ball right back to your offense.
I think the biggest thing with the red zone offense is what we learned last night, right? You had Mac Rhodes saying, hey, this could have been 5th or maybe even 4th if you didn't have some of the red zone struggles. And for the next couple of weeks, yes, I would love to see all of that stuff get fixed. And here's, to me, there's 2 schools of thought on this, like of what some of the issues have been, because you've had several red zone drops. Start there.
Pass drops.
And I'm not just saying from the BYU game, but like that was part of the issue with Houston too, right? In that first half, couldn't catch a pass inside the 10-yard line. That happened on one possession in this one. And then the other one's like, well, okay, why don't you just do what you did with the Cam Dickey run, right? Where you had a big formation there and you just pounded it in and it was an easy score. Well, you tried to do that too, but part of that is making sure you consistently clean up the pre-snap penalties. Because again, going back to some of the past issues, well, it's hard to smash it in from the 1 or 2 whenever you're at the 1 or 2, and then, oh, nope, you're at the 6 or 7, actually.
No doubt.
And so there's certainly things that we've known that you've needed to clean up offensively, and I don't think that was shocking to hear. But it was interesting to hear it in the connection of, hey, if you can get some of these things cleaned up, yeah, you'll easily be a 4 or 5 team. You have they were basically saying, yeah, we think you have the best front in all of college football right now.
Awesome.
So for UCF, though, and for West Virginia, I am more worried about, I hope the red zone stuff, I hope you do really well. But against these teams, I'm more worried about let's win them convincingly, but everything to protect Baron Morton.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the offensive game plan to me.
That's right. I'm with you.
That seems like a good segue. So UCF, I mean, they have not had a great year, right? 4-5, 1-5 in Big 12 play. The defense, I think, might surprise people where they are in the conference. They're 5th in scoring defense. They're 3rd in pass defense. And it doesn't mean that they've been awful with the rush defense. They've been gouged, I would say, a couple of times. One of that just happened in the last game against Houston. But Kansas State, fully healthy Kansas State at the time because Dylan Edwards was in that game. That was the one that really hammered them for like 260 yards on the ground. But they haven't been bad with rush defense. It's just the difference between them at 5th and then even looking at like BYU or Utah at 2nd and 3rd and then clearly to you at 1st, I think is way, way different. What has been a mess for them this year, Gus, is the offense. And they're scoring in Big 12 play 21 points per game, which is not a great mark, right? You know what the interesting part of that is? You know how many top 7 defenses they've played in the conference? None.
Wow.
None.
Goodness.
The best defense they've played this year was Cincinnati, and they held them to 11 points. And if you're looking at just Big 12 play, that is 8th.
You know, a lot of our spreads have been in the low 50s.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 23-point spread, and a lot of our over-unders
Right.
have been in the low, 52, 53 range. This one's 47.5, 23-point spread. I mean, that's them looking at this thing going, hey, you're going to beat these guys 38 to, or whatever that'd be, 35 to 13, something like that. I mean, that's what they're, that's what they're sort of mathing that out. You go, man, that's a telling number right there. What you just said, the fact that the little bit of offense that they've generated this year has been against the bottom half of the league defensively.
Mostly the bottom half, and even then the highest one is right there splitting that hair with Cincinnati. And so I just they've got a couple of really nice running backs. I like Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon, but that offensive line has not been well or hasn't played well. They can't figure out the quarterback spot. That's the biggest issue. They've had 5 different quarterbacks take like real snaps. Taven Jackson is clearly the leader. They've also had some injuries and some dinged upness, I guess if you want, that's a made up word, but it's certainly gone through that quarterback room. But it's been messy starting there. Like, the offensive line hasn't been great, but start with the quarterback spot. You're just not going to go very far. And I bring that up because one of my favorite parts of this defense is they haven't had to, gin anything up. Like, you haven't had to worry about them coming out flat or not carrying that, it's just UCF. They're just 4-5. Why? We saw it against Oklahoma State, right? They certainly showed up to play and we're like, we don't care how bad you are. We're going to make you look even worse. And so I just think that is an alarming matchup if you're a UCF fan thinking our offense has a shot to get going this week.
I know.
And they have their backs against the wall, and I do think they're certainly going to come in, and they can't really come in going If we give up this one, that's fine. We'll get the next two, because they're trying to make a bowl game in year one this tenure of Scott Frost, and they only have the 4 wins. They do see Oklahoma State, so you probably like them in that matchup. But then on the other side, they also have BYU, who is at the top of the conference and has a ton to play for. That'll be the next high-end conference defense that they see. And so their backs are against the wall if they want to have any postseason opportunities. Well, it'll really just be the one opportunity to be a bowl game. But
yeah, our operation's daunting to be playing against those cats with the with the offensive struggles.
Oof.
I'm scared for them.
Yeah. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. DoubleTSportsNetwork.com and the Double T 97.3 mobile app. Keep hitting us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Clint, Gus, and Kyler. So you have a men's game last night, top 25 matchup against Illinois. They were just as big and skilled as we thought they would be. And J.T. Toppin is the best college basketball player on the face of the planet. So it feels like we got both of those things right. Now, what'd you think as a whole of the game? Clearly there were some things that were ugly at times. Mm-hmm. And then several positives from this. Ultimately ends up in a loss, just a 4-point loss, which, believe it or not, can help your resume when the time comes to have that discussion, especially with that being a road game. But as a whole, what did you think of the game?
Loved the compete side of it for us. Mm-hmm. Just being down 13 and clawing back in that thing and just finding a way to do some things. And the fact that it came down to the last possession was, again, kind of incredible given where a lot of that game had been played and how easy Illinois made it look when they opened that thing up to 13. The game by Toppin was kind of legendary. I mean, if you ask me, 35 and 11. Obviously, the 6 turnovers, 4 in the first half. I thought it was sort of revealing that Coach Underwood said, no, we weren't going to let anybody else beat us. In other words, Toppin.
And he still almost did.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also where you go, man, anything from Christian. Christian Anderson kind of got a lot of attention, I think, from just Tech fan base because we're so used to see him light it up. 0 for 6 from 3. That's everybody knows that. Watch the game. Just 2 points in the second half for him. 2 of his 8. He did have 11 assists. We had 20 assists to their 5, which I thought was a really interesting number.
And I think, which is funny because it felt like in the bulk of the second half, it was just J.T. Toppin and Andre Stojakovic going back and forth. But the difference was you were. And I guess part of it is the position. You're not going to have JT bring the ball down and stuff like that. But I thought you had really good ball movement in the second half. I didn't love the ball movement in the first half. I don't think I'm breaking any news here. But it's not like you didn't find any open shots on the perimeter still. You just didn't hit some. And you can say that for Atwell. Tyree Bryan getting into some foul trouble didn't help either. But I'm with everybody that is in the camp. I'm excited to see what this team looks like defensively when you get your bigs that are specifically Bamboye, but when you get your bigs back that are out right now, because I think that'll be a difference maker. And that's something that I did note. I was like, hey, we talked about this yesterday, how good Illinois' backcourt is. And there's some experience there. There's also some new faces, but some new faces that have played a ton of basketball. But then you also had some freshmen in there. Specifically one who was a 4-star recruit who had a very good night last night too, I thought. And I was looking at it as, okay, how close are you defensively? Because we know going into this, you're nowhere near what Coach McCaslin wants you to be at on the perimeter defense. And I think that's something that you also struggled at times. And that was part of the reason why Stojakovic felt like he could find any shot that he wanted, but also Boswell did a little bit of that in the first half. And so knowing that was something that was going to have to be cleaned up regardless, it was more like, what does the gap look like that? And even then, it's just like it's a snapshot view because it's one game and it's on the road. But there were some things that I thought, wow, you're like Lawan Watts is already fitting into this offense even better than I thought he would at this stage, because you never know with the chemistry side. And then there's other things where I went, okay, I wasn't expecting kind of the sticky feel of the first half from some of your vets.
Agree. And I think those cats heard it from McCaslin. A couple of those dudes did. I mean, and that, again, that game felt like late January, Big 12 heat, right? Yeah. And instead it's November 11th.
Fun crowd.
Yes, that place was juiced, the whole deal. And he was ready to go. I mean, he was firing on all cylinders. I thought, our two freshmen had their moments, but yeah.
Betty certainly had a couple of highlights there late in the first half. Which
he did. He had a little adjusting period. Obviously, Groves had a couple of adjustments, and when he had a couple of blow-by defensively, and then we never saw him again. And it's interesting because Groves, and to me, not knowing much about Leon Horner, I think they're of that similar ilk that if Horner hadn't have rolled his ankle against Lindenwood, he might be getting some of these minutes. I'm not saying he would have gotten all the minutes, and Groves wouldn't have gotten any, but he probably would have been one of those guys that went, "You get in there, let's see what's going on." But I also, I mean, you can look at that thing and see Atwell and Brian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brian. Atwell and Brian with 3 points apiece, and I think those two dudes were getting it, from McCaslin more than once. And so I remember texting a buddy of mine going, man, Grant was doing a couple of those timeouts. Coach Mack was doing a couple of those timeouts where it's like, ooh, both barrels, somebody's getting it. And he was, and I think he was directing it at those two dudes like, hey, we didn't bring in you seniors to do this, and that, again, if we'd have played Podunk State, none of this gets exposed and whatever, but those cats, were probably a little wide-eyed even for seniors to be looking around like, dang, man.
Well, because obviously the best version of that game is you win it, but there's a lot of good that you can take, and I know this is one of the points of why Coach McCaslin wants to play a game like this, where he can sit down and he can look at your backcourt, and you can throw Anderson in here too. Like, look, this, when we get to Big 12 play, when we get to Duke, if we see Purdue, Wake Forest looked pretty good, by the way, too, almost beating Michigan. Like, when you get to these sort of backcourts, it's going to be tough, and we're going to have to lean on you. And I didn't have any confidence shaken from last night, talking about the backcourt. I think it was more of you have to use this as a learning experience, because it's going to be like this night in and night out when you hit January.
Atwell was our second leading rebounder last night, and so it wasn't all bad, but yeah, him and Brian getting 3 points apiece. Brian in foul trouble almost from the jump.
It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. Back with more next.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Somebody's warbling.
This was in if you were here at 3 o'clock on Tech Talk, and you got to go through the emotional roller coaster of Kyler starting out celebrating the firing of Nico Harrison to the "I'm still angry"
right.
and the rage that built up. That was like the second half of it. That's the song that was playing back there. Yeah, accurate, Kyler.
Fairly accurate, yeah.
All right. That's what we try to be, fairly accurate here on Tech Talk.
Yes,
We're in the right area. Yeah. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. 30 more minutes with us. Give us your questions for Ask Tech Talk. That'll be in 15 minutes for now. We got this thought. I thought we missed D5 last night. Toppin needed someone to dish off to when Illinois finally started double teaming him. They also said or McMillan, and I would say to me, because I thought Lawan Watts was fantastic, being kind of the bounce off player from that with Toppin. I think if you said which one did you miss more last night, it was maybe the sure shooting of McMillan and not being rattled in big moments. But I think this roster is going to be really good, and we won't be saying by the end of the year we miss so and so.
And I understand the texter. I'm being a smart A when I answer it this way. But because he or she is saying the best version of D5. All right,
sure.
But with the best version, you get the version that chose not to play against Houston in Lubbock. Like so, he'll forever have that McCullough label around him. Like, hey, you're released. You can play. Okay, all right. So when the University of Houston comes to town and we have 6 players, because Dad said, hey, man, you don't want to look bad. Come on, man.
I would also say it feels like every single time when you have, and this is part of having transfers, not everybody takes off and is just, perfect out of the gate. And so I think, Donovan Atwell has already shown you 2 really good performances. I'm thinking more of Tyree Bryan. I think you're waiting for him to get going a little bit. And last night we didn't get to see it much because he was in foul trouble. But that's obviously something that's not going to help you if he's not on the court. And I don't expect him to be a foul trouble guy that we label. Usually that's a label for bigs because they're trying to go for shot blocks and stuff like that. I think just for the sake, of the conversation, again, of the, hey, who did you miss last night? Well, I thought Lawan Watts actually did the Darian Williams role really, really well for you. And also, he was a big part of that second half comeback too, right? He was in the right spot. He and J.T. Toppin, I thought, played well off of each other. I was looking more on the perimeter. You needed to hit a few more shots when you got open looks. And then Christian Anderson, it's going to be hard to find a game where he's going 0 for 6 like that and having a bad offensive game. But as excited as I was to watch him against Illinois last night, I think he had a game offensively, specifically scoring production, that will be about as bad as you'll see from him.
And if he'd have gone 1 for 6, we would have gone, man, Christian just wasn't right last night, but 0 for 6. And those weren't all rushed, hand in his face, throwing up stuff he shouldn't be shooting. There was a bunch of those that were probably what's been set up to do. Get it inside, everything collapses down, fire it out to him, good, clean, open look. And that's part of it. I mean, what's the 3-point shooters are going to be roughly 3 for 8, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to be 38% thereabouts. But yeah, the 0 for 6 is probably not going to be something. Hopefully, not going to be something we see much this year. And there might have been some press in there by the end of the game, like, man, I hadn't hit one all day, that kind of a thing. It's one of those things like kind of the least of our worries, right?
Yeah, and I'm not worried.
No,
It's the third game of the season. You played the 14th ranked team on the road
barn.
to. I mean, you were a shot away from tying it up and sending it to overtime.
Exactly, and that was.
Now, do I want to have to bank on J.T. Toppin having a Superman second half every game?
Yeah.
No, but
that's exactly right, and just the that place was charged up. It was everything you'd want it to be from that high end environment. Good team. Their barn was sold out. The whole deal. We need to return that favor in a year. I mean, and that's why I'm not that I'm preaching to the choir, not that nobody knows this, but just the Power 4 home and home has a special juice to it. Mm-hmm. And if we could add one each year,
get on that rotation.
Yeah, next year we're playing Illinois at home, and then we start one up with and I'd even add a Big East type school in there. I'm saying Power 4, but just something brand namey. The University of Washington. I don't care. It doesn't have to be great if it's North Carolina. I'm just talking about something that adds a little more sizzle to the home schedule. But And then every year there's one of those ongoing with a home and a road. And, certainly that on top of the MTEs and all that stuff, I get it.
And if you're looking just for – and I thought that they had a shot to be hanging around the top 25. I didn't think they'd be in it. But speaking of, like, your schedule, if you were watching the game before you, Wake Forest playing the 6th-ranked Michigan Wolverines to overtime and losing, by a point?
Yeah.
And so like that's going to be a tough game too to even get through Purdue, which is exciting because it just like you are about to go through a gauntlet of a season, and that was the very, very first step of that gauntlet, which is super fun.
Oh yeah,
really
absolutely.
Fun.
Yeah, we've got 6 of those games that are, to a varying degree, high end opponents that are going to have some net ranking heft to it. And, we need to go get some results in 2, 3, 4 of them, right? I've got 5 of them left.
But I will say it is the biggest luxury for college basketball for a team to have a guy like J.T. Toppin, who can have a average to the end of the first half, not so great when you're traveling a bunch, right? And you get the 4 turnovers. To have a guy like that to go, there's no way he has a second bad half, but also, hey, things are kind of bad here, pretty big hole at halftime, let's just go to him.
Yeah, feed him.
Let's give him the rock and let him go to work. It is Tech Talk on Double T 97.3.
This has been the Tech Talk Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.